Thank you, Richard, and welcome everyone to today's IndyCar conference call. We're pleased to be joined today by Holman Motorsports CEO Mark Miles, Holman Motorsports Chief Revenue Officer Jay Frye, and Verizon Wireless Vice President of Marketing Brian Angelette. Mark, a big day for IndyCar as Verizon was announced a short time ago as entitlement partner for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Indeed, Arnie, thanks. It's a huge day for IndyCar. I think of this day as a game changer for IndyCar, for the series, for our fans, the teams, our drivers. In a real sense, I think it represents a kind of confirmation of the strategies we've put into place and where we intend to take the sport, and is the beginning of the next phase of IndyCar's growth. So Brian's my partner on the phone now. Brian, I just want to say publicly how pleased we are with today and getting us to this place. It's not lost on us that Verizon has been a partner of IndyCar as our official wireless partner for the last 4 years. So we know that you know us, and we know that you know the sport. You've already made great contributions, primarily through the sponsorship of the Penske car, the Verizon car. But you've had the opportunity to really get under the hood, so to speak, and to understand the potential of this sport and what makes us tick. And that gives us great confidence about this partnership going forward. You know, as we've done some work in the last several months, as has probably been done in the past, to think about what is fundamentally IndyCar, you know, speed and the daring of the drivers and the skill of the drivers are we think, a huge part of what we offer the public. But at the same time, going back to our earliest roots, innovation is part of our brand and part of what we stand for. And the more we've thought about it, innovation has a role on the track, and we expect to be more innovative again over time. But innovation also has a lot to do with how we go to the market and how we captivate fans and present the sport in all its depth and excitement to fans. And I cannot imagine a more perfect partner to be true to those roots and to take us to the next level of leadership in sports for the way we use innovation to put the sport forward. So we're just thrilled with this announcement. Cannot wait to begin to activate, as the sponsor folks say, and to take this to a new level.
All right, thank you, Mark. Brian, as Mark mentioned, Verizon has been a partner of IndyCar for the last 4 years, and now you take the big step up as the entitlement sponsor. How excited is Verizon about today's announcement?
Well, I mean, obviously we're thrilled. I think, to Mark's point, you know, we've had a great relationship just as a partner, and then even with the Penske team. So when you look at this, it just became the right time for Verizon to step up into this position. Internally, you know, we have been evolving our brand and our position into the marketplace from a mobile and wireless-centric company into more of this technology company. And when you think about the role that technology plays in IndyCar, it just seemed like a great match. And now with this agreement, and when you look at the roadmap that we have both in the agreement and from a product standpoint, I think we feel that we now have a platform really here to demonstrate what all of our technology can bring to the fan base inside and outside the venue. And so it's a perfect match at a perfect time.
All right, thank you, Brian. Let's open up for questions for any of our guests today.
Thank you. We'll now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you wish to be removed from the queue, please press the pound sign or the hash key. If you're using a speakerphone, you may need to pick up the handset first before pressing the numbers. Once again, if you have a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Standing by for questions. Our first question online is from Robin Miller from Racer. Please go ahead.
Brian, Verizon, as I recall, had the last national TV commercial that actually featured a driver with willpower, and Can you just break down of the money that's going to be invested in an annual basis, how much would be for television and commercials and newspaper and magazine advertising and just the marketing of IndyCar?
Yeah, I mean, it's not our policy to comment on kind of the level of investment around these things, but what I can tell you is the choices that we make to feature drivers and some of the commercial assets that you're speaking of, we're not necessarily beholden to those just by whatever our commitment is. Those spots and commercials for us are about putting our brand in the right context, where we can tee up certain things. So my point in saying all that is, we'll invest in those at whatever level we feel appropriate to either drive brand, or as we start thinking about, product and different fan experiences as the years come, it wouldn't be beholden to simply anything that's in an agreement. I think it's a good partnership for us to use in multiple ways, beyond just a specific in-program type of activation or marketing asset.
I guess my follow-up would be, but can we expect to see IndyCar? One of IndyCar's big weaknesses in the last few years has been the lack of national recognition and marketing and commercials. Can we expect to see a jump in that? I guess my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think you will see. I think we've had a commitment to. We've got cars with the teams. We've got drivers. The Indy League itself, the technology position, the spots that we're creating around that, I think are going to be very exciting, kind of visceral, and that's part of the muscle that we would bring and will bring.
Thanks.
Our next question online comes from Bruce Martin from National Speed Sport News. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Congratulations. This is for Mark. How do you measure the importance of being able to go from one season with a sponsor to getting a series sponsor the very next season, rather than, say, having a lame duck season where you didn't have any sponsorship at all as the entitlement?
We like to think we're aggressive in growing IndyCar racing. And so, time is of the essence. And that's not a financial answer. Financially, the series, the company is in very solid shape, and we're very much in an investment mode this year. But we are just eager to get on with taking this sport to another level. And what Verizon brings is a long list of attributes. I've come to already not think of them so much as a wireless company as a technology company, and it's the Verizon IndyCar Series, but they're our technology partner. And, we've had a chance to have a lot of conversations about the potential for the development of technology, and it just knocks your socks off and gives me a lot of excitement about the way we can reach fans, provide more value for the teams and the drivers. And so we're so eager to get on with it. I haven't thought of it in the past as whether we skipped a beat or might have from one year to the next, but I can tell you that I expect impact this year. And for all of the journalists that cover us and for fans who watch us and fans who don't know they're going to watch us but will, there will be a discernible difference this year.
And as far, though, as delivering a message, Verizon always seems to be one that has a very well thought-out plan what their message is going to be. And in a lot of ways, you got to really feel like this is indeed a long-term commitment.
Well, if that's a question, it is. Although we won't get into the specifics, it wouldn't make much sense to have a title sponsorship relation for a year. But again, it's more about the shared vision for what technology means to IndyCar racing and how we can be the market leader, at least in motorsports in that regard.
And finally, the fact that Verizon is a recognized consumer name, how valuable is that to be involved as a series sponsor? Phrased in a question.
There was a how valuable in that. It's huge. I mean, Verizon as an institution, is one of the most compelling companies in this country. And it isn't lost on us, back to Robin's question, that they have a pretty substantial advertising budget, and they're so good at the development of their company and their brand. I just don't know how we could have a better partner in terms of what they stand for as a company and what they bring to us in the way of an informed sponsor.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Once again, for any questions, that's star then one on your touchtone phone. That's star then one. Our next question online comes from Chris Estrada from NBCSports.com. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Congratulations on this announcement. I wanted just to go to Mark. IndyCar racing in particular over the last 2 decades or so has had sort of a troubled history with primary sponsors, FedEx, Pep Boys, Northern Light, and now iSod have all come and gone. To the fans that want to get excited about this partnership, and there is a good bit to be excited about, but may be a little hesitant to be completely excited about it, what would you say to them?
Well, I think a couple things. The first is just think about the kind of company that Verizon is, and what they can bring to IndyCar racing. We've said this earlier on this call, but when they begin with us to roll out effectively technology products that will enhance the experience of all our stakeholders, starting with fans, I have no doubt that fans are going to be delighted for the value that Verizon brings to IndyCar racing. I think fans want to see the sport grow too, and what Verizon can do in helping us effectively promote the sport and Verizon together will be important and will generate a lot of excitement by open wheel fans and now Verizon IndyCar Series fans. I guess I don't think much about the past, to be frank. I'm thinking about how we're going to take the sport forward. I've never spent a second thinking about comparing this situation to prior ones because I'm so completely convinced about how this one makes sense, how this partnership will make sense. And as I said, it isn't lost on either Verizon or us that, I've seen Lowell McAdam and Dan Mead and Brian and their entire team in the IndyCar paddock now, often for the year that I've been involved. And I know that they know what they're getting into, and they know how they see the sport the way we do. It is a compelling, exciting sport that is perfect as the sport to apply technology to make it more compelling to fans. And again, on other levels that are more internal for teams and our drivers. So I guess I'd just say, well, if you don't want to trust us, don't watch this space. We have complete confidence that this is going to be a home run for IndyCar fans.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, for any questions, that's star then one on your touchtone phone. Our next question online comes from Don Kay from Autosport Radio of Indianapolis. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, Mark and Brian, on putting together what I think is going to be a huge advantage for IndyCar. First question for Mark. We've heard about the possibility of Verizon for quite some time. How long has it taken to get a huge company like Verizon and IndyCar together to get this program together? I mean, obviously it didn't happen in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
I don't remember exactly when it started. I think we've been developing relationship over, well, I'm sure prior to Mark Miles being part of IndyCar, and as our official I guess, wireless partner over the last year. We've gotten to know each other and had a lot of conversations about where the series is headed, what our objectives are, and what the growth trajectory looks like. So I don't remember a day when this started. I think it probably started in a sense back 4 years ago. I will say this. Verizon is a huge company, a big organization, but they're agile in this regard. When we got to the point of being ready to enter into these conversations, they and we, I think that getting to a signed agreement was sort of like IndyCar itself, record fast. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Jay Frye and Karen Hadley, the two people on point to some extent in both teams, for shepherding it and going through a lot of complicated things as any title sponsorship has to be in record time.
My second question is for Brian. I am talking to you on the Verizon phone, strangely enough.
Wonderful.
And you have been involved in the sport. Will the fans, when they come to the various venues, will they see you more visible with programs and things that the fans, once they're there, can get involved in and sign them up and get them excited about Verizon and realize that some of the services out there don't work at the racetrack, whereas Verizon does, for instance?
Yeah, well, thank you again. I think a couple things. I think part of this, first of all, I think as a matter of presence, the assets that we will be able to utilize all around the venue are, you're going to feel more presence there. So the activation, the weight of the activation will definitely be significant. I also think, to the point we've been discussing today, it's our intent to be able to bring new technology into the experiences for fans, especially as time goes on. So you'll definitely feel it, not just from a branding and activation standpoint, but from a technology and use standpoint. And even when you look at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think there lies some really great opportunities for us to have some real showcase of where our brand is going. And then with a lot of this too, we always are very, very committed to the customer experience and our network capacity and capability at these types of experiences, and that's not different than a few of the other partnerships that we have. So I think all that combined, when we do make a decision like this to partner, we bring the full scope and scale of what we have to offer to make it successful.
Well, I think the partnership is ideal with the speed of the Indy cars and the speed of Verizon moving. This sport should move forward rather quickly. Congratulations to both. And I think nothing but good things will come of it.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Matt Weaver from Popular Speed. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Congratulations, everyone. My question is for Brian. Verizon and Penske has been a successful and really fulfilling partnership so far. So with that said, what does Verizon get in terms of viability from this partnership beyond what it was already receiving with the Penske relationship?
Well, I think you get, you just basically get to complete the circle. I mean, there's wonderful assets. The Penske team are amazing partners, and the team assets are incredible. We've had some venue and track assets before, but now really we have the opportunity to help on a much broader scale. So, without getting into details, I think about it more as just completing the circle. You've seen us in piece parts before. I think it'll be more immersive in terms of just the scale of our brand presence, and then the ability to really work technology into the experience for fans as time goes on in this deal. I think that's the other area that's a real win. So, again, there's just so much technology involved in IndyCar and the precision that is exactly where our brand is going. So, I mean, just the ability to demonstrate it, without getting into a lot of specifics, but those elements and assets in this, again, just really round out the partnership. All of our partnerships to date, really.
Thank you.
Again, for any questions or follow-ups, that's star then one on your touch-tone phone. That's star then one. Our next question online comes from Paul Dalby from Moorfront. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mark and Brian. Congratulations to both of you again on this fantastic announcement. First question for Brian. Could you talk maybe just a little bit about some of the other corporate partnerships and sponsorships that you have outside of IndyCar, and then how IndyCar kind of fits in with your overall marketing scheme? Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to, take from this day. I'll just say this. I mean, I think, generally speaking, we have continued to become increasingly selective with the organizations that we partner with, and we do that because I think what we want to do is we want to go deeper and broader within a relationship. So part of this is all about truly organizations that we feel will go to that level of depth and breadth on a relationship. From there, I think, again, where this fits in our portfolio is our technology future and the ability to demonstrate that and use this sponsorship as a platform for us to kind of showcase that. It really starts to push us forward on where our company is going, where our brand is going. To the earlier question, the commercials and the kind of things that we'll even talk about will start to morph that way. So it's kind of it puts us on our leadership path into that new direction of technology, not just mobile or wireless or phone company.
Very well. And a follow-up to either of you. If you can you mention it? Does this contract include any provisions that would preclude any additional sponsors, competitive sponsors to Verizon coming in and sponsoring, say, other entrants in the car, whether those be mobile sponsors or technology firms?
I can take that. While it protects existing relationships that are in the paddock, yes, it does provide an exclusivity for Verizon going forward.
Very well. I appreciate your answers. Congratulations again to both of you.
Thank you.
Our next question online comes from Tim Wolford from Auto Racing One. Please go ahead.
Yes, as you know, we're an online publication. We live and die by not only having fans online, but being able to publish online. I'm interested if Verizon is bringing us things like more bandwidth at venues, both for the fans and the media. I'm interested in the online feeds for timing, scoring, and I also note that a lot of sports venues have their own Wi-Fi systems now, so that fans can bring their mobile devices to watch the event and to get the scoring from there. I'm interested to find out what Verizon's bringing to the table in terms of fan and media enhancements from technology.
Yeah, I'll just say this at this point. We're not commenting on any details or level of detail in that whole space, but again, it's our intent to make sure that we have a solid fan experience and that we are deploying new technology in and around these venues to increase the fan experience and many others that actually will be, utilizing the network. So the details of that and a lot of those kinds of things are things that we continue to work in the course of the partnership. And I'll just leave it at that.
Brian, I can add, at least from an IMS perspective, as you know, that as part of our Project 100, leading up to our 100th year celebration, the 100th running of the 500, we are making capital investments at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And while over time I'm sure that there will be even more interesting technologies, you will begin to see improvements in the connectivity, both cellular and data, and Wi-Fi and IMS, to some extent beginning this year, but certainly emphatically by the race after next.
It certainly is appreciated. I was at one of the last Van Dam events and was just shocked how many people walked around staring at their phones for timing and scoring.
Yeah.
Our next question online comes from Bruce Martin from National Speed Sports News. Please go ahead.
This is for either one of you. How much will we expect to see ad buys involved? Do you have any that are going to start rolling out immediately?
Are you, just a question back to you, are you speaking just in relation to promoting
like
the partnership?
Today, Sports Illustrated, television,
Oh, yeah.
how much are we going to expect to see any ad buys immediate?
Yeah, I mean, I think basically we are in Hadron preparing to activate the partnership, kind of in good faith as they've been working it at the launch of the season. And so there's a material that we've been in the process of producing and all of that good stuff to hit our kickoff date. So also there's a couple other concepts we're working that follow up. So it's an iterative process, but we'll be fully activating day one.
Okay, thank you.
And at this time, I see we have no further questions.
And as we have no further questions, we will wrap up today's IndyCar conference call and thank our guests for their time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Brian.
Thank you very much.
This call will be available on digital tape replay approximately 1 hour following the conclusion of today's call. To access the system, participants need to dial 888-843-8996 or 630-652-3044 and enter the passcode 6674241. A transcript and MP3 audio of today's call will be available on IndyCar's media website at media.indycar.com. You will have to be a registered user to access the transcript or MP3 audio, so you may have to register on the front page. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.